Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to our May 19th council meeting. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. Roll call.
Mr. Oja?
Here.
Mr. Minigini?
Here.
Dr. Hayes?
Here.
Mr. Gottstein? Mr. Ball?
Yep.
Chris will be here. He's just running a little late this evening. We need approval of the minutes of the regular meeting of May 5th, special meeting of May 12th, special meeting of May 13th. Any additions or corrections?
No additions or corrections, Jeremy. I make a motion we approve all three meetings, May 5th, 12th, and 13th.
Support.
Motion made by George, supported by Lee. Roll call.
Mr. Minigini?
Yes.
Dr. Hayes?
Yes.
Mr. Gottstein? The minutes?
Yes.
If you look, yep. Mr. Ball?
Yep.
And Mr. Oja?
Yes. Approval manifest 2014-10 in the amount of $371,514.32. Dr. Hayes.
No questions.
Lee.
Page 2, bottom, last item. Valley Truck Parts, 5 gallons, trans synthetic oil, $228. Shouldn't that be 50 gallons? I hope it's 50 gallons and not 5.
No. Let me check to make sure it just is 5. I doubt that it was supposed to be 50.
I know synthetic gallon is
Yeah.
a lot more expensive, but that seems a little too much.
I'll let you know.
Okay, and I got one other thing here. More of a comment than anything, I guess. On the Norway Fire Department, furnace MTC repair fire hall, $974. What was the major problem there? I thought we had worked on that a while back. A pretty good bill came through here.
I don't have to check.
January or February. I thought we had one there. Okay, check on that for me then, Ray. And I think one other item, page 9. Did they clear with you on all these Gulf Fund refunds, Gulf membership refunds?
Yeah, they cleared.
They did? Okay, because I know they're supposed to. I'm just checking, that's all. Okay. As I see, we had this $1,600 worth. That's all I have.
Okay, George.
I had one of the same questions as Lee did. Them furnaces, Ray, with both City Hall and here and Fire Department, roughly about the same age, right?
Yeah, they're, well, the fire hall's a year earlier.
Okay.
It was put up a year earlier.
Are we having roughly the same amount of troubles with that one that we are with the City Hall, or are they two different furnaces altogether?
Well, I'd have to check to see exactly, the specs on both of them, but, the problem we have here is that as a lead boiler, it's condensing or wants to condense and it's having trouble. It's that vintage year. I'm not sure, it depends on how the temperatures are set over there, whether it's having the same problem, but it would probably be the same vintage, it's only a year apart.
Well, I guess my concern, Ray, would be, being that they're roughly the same age, and if they are the same type of furnaces and everything, that, maybe seeing that we're having the one in the City Hall looked into and seeing what problems that maybe we should consider doing the same thing with that one too.
Yeah, let me check and see exactly what their issues are over there.
Okay.
I'm sure they.
Yeah, it was just a suggestion.
Sure, no, it's a good idea.
I only had one, I believe, Jeremy. On the first page, I've been gone for a while, so have we always paid that $1,200, what page is it on here? Page 3, for annual railroad signal fees?
Yeah, that's federal law. We've been paying that for a number of years now.
First time I ever noticed it, and I said, boy, this is...
Yeah. That started up, oh gosh, it was a couple of years ago. 2 or 3 years ago, and then we had an invoice for, they had not invoiced us. You know, it started, I don't know, 5, 6, 7, 8 years ago. It was quite a while ago. And then there was a number of years where they didn't invoice us, and then they invoiced us a couple of years ago.
Which one would they be, Ray?
Well, it's
The one in
the-
Belgium Town and,
Belgium Town and Lake Road.
oh, I forgot about the Lake Road.
Yeah.
Okay. That's all I have, Jeremy, just one other, that $1,200 that I'd like Tricia to exclude for Spring Valley.
Chris?
Just one on page 6 under cable. Tech support, speed issues, and email add-on for $125.
When we had them upgrade from the 180 to the 250 that we're at, per the contract, they charge us money to do that work to upgrade us.
Okay, what about the email add-on?
Now, that I was gonna look in the contract. I don't recall anything in the contract, but Lisa Schultz was telling me that there was something, she's seen them before, where there's like a $10 charge if they have to add an email or delete an email account.
We charge $10 to add, for them
Yeah,
to add
yeah.
email?
So I need to check on that in the
Okay.
contract to see what it says about emails. It
I
didn't
don't
make a lot of
remember.
sense to me.
I don't remember seeing
When I
that
saw it.
contract. Yeah,
Yeah. So I don't know what's going on there.
okay. If you could look into that, just see.
Yeah.
That's all I have.
Okay, and I have nothing else. With that, I'm looking for a motion.
Make a motion, we approve manifest 2014-10 in the amount of $371,514.32.
Support.
Motion made by Chris, supported by Dr. Hayes. Roll call.
Dr. Hayes?
Yes.
Mr. Gottstein?
Yes.
Mr. Ball?
Yes, Trish, except for that 12:59:30.
Mr. Oja?
Yes.
Mr. Menegini?
Yes.
Does anyone from the audience wish to address the council on the minutes manifest or any agenda item? If you do, please come up to the podium, state your name and address for the record. There will be further time for comment on any subject at the end of the meeting. Okay, we have,
Jeremy?
I didn't quite understand what you said, but I do have some questions about Strawberry Lake.
that will be at
Is
the end of
that
the meeting.
later?
That'll be later.
All right,
Thank you.
thank you.
We have 5 things on the agenda this evening. The first one is a audit extension letter. Mr. Anderson.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. As part of the requirements of rural development for our upcoming water and sewer project, they request that we have, or they require that we have our auditor under contract through the term of the project, which should take us to the year ending fiscal year 2016. We are 1 year short at the current time, so we did this last year, remember, with Mr. Kenny for the wastewater project, and so we've requested him to give us a proposal for a 1 year extension. So it's for fiscal year ending 2016, and for a price not to exceed $20,600.
Are there any questions or comments?
I do, Jeremy. On what you call's reply, what, Scott's reply, at $1,800 if a single audit is required. What might that be about, Mary?
If we receive, during that fiscal year, federal money, grant money, that is, it used to be 300,000, Ray, is they changed it to 500,000?
500, yeah.
I think it's 500. If we receive in excess of $500,000 in grant money that year, then he has to perform the single audit.
Oh.
He puts it on there because it could be required, and it's an extra report for him
Yeah,
to do.
I kind of assumed that. I didn't, wondering why or where it would come in.
Yeah, it's
I guess
only if
that
we
was my
receive
question.
federal money.
Okay.
Any other questions? If not, I'm looking for a motion.
I'll make a motion that we approve Scott Kenny's audit for an additional year.
Second.
Motion made by George, supported by Chris. Roll call.
Mr. Gottstein?
Yes.
Mr. Ball?
Yes?
Mr. Oja?
Yes.
Mr. Minigini?
Yes.
Dr. Hayes?
Yes.
Approval, Marion Park Pavilion Maintenance. Mr. Anderson.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Mayor. This is something that we went out for bid, months ago, started last fall, and actually trying to get a contractor. What we need to do is completely strip the pavilions out at Marion Park. We're looking at different methods to do that. We can't use our typical summer help to do this work because of using either chemicals or I don't want to say sandblast, it's like they use like a corn cob blasting. Anyway, we could not get contractors to bid on that, but in the last couple weeks, Joe had reached out and found that Zambon out of Iron Mountain was willing to do the work and gave us a proposal for $4,500. Since we had previously tried to advertise and bid this project, we decided to move forward and bring this to council right away so that they could start this work.
Did they have a timeline when they thought they could get it done?
No, they didn't have a timeline. I was waiting for the approval to get a timeline from them.
Okay, so we just got to make sure we're aware of like the next item, the Lions Club picnic
Yes.
that'll be using.
Yeah. I'll schedule it around the activities that are on the books.
Do you have an idea how long it's going to take?
They said it would be about a week worth of work.
Any other questions or comments?
What was the problem out there that it's so bad to start with? Was the wrong finish put on originally, or just let it go too long?
Too much. The lacquer was put on too thick, and so it starting to peel and curl. And when it started to crack, it started to peel.
There's just no way to lightly sand it. It has to be
Right, I realize that.
stripped off, yeah.
I don't suppose we can go after the guy that put the lacquer on too thick, eh?
Good try, Lee.
Well, I don't know who did it, but it always seems something comes up and we foot the bill for it, whether the job is done right or not. I'll make a motion that Zambon Decorating Company be approved at a price not to exceed $4,500 to strip and seal the two pavilions at Marion Park.
Support.
Motion made by Lee, supported by George. Roll call.
Mr. Oja?
Yes.
Mr. Minigini?
Yes?
Dr. Hayes?
Yes.
Mr. Gottstein?
Yes.
Mr. Ball?
Yes.
Approval, special events application, Lions Club picnic. Mr. Anderson.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. It's a standard application for special events for the Lions Club. They're scheduling their picnic on Sunday, July 6th, starting at 11 a.m. Since they're going to be using Marion Park, it's part of our requirement that they come for a special event application. They've had this event at Marion Park since 2007, so it's a great event. Lots of activity and good for community, and so just for your approval.
Has there been any issues in the past with it?
No, they handle their event very well.
Well, my other question is more for our end. It appears that they submitted this in January. How come we're just seeing it now? Because it was signed in January.
They didn't submit that in January, did they?
Well, some people try to book things ahead of time, and we usually wait till the beginning of the year.
Oh,
There's no real reason why.
okay.
That sounds like a good reason, Trish. No, it does.
That's fine. I just wanted to know what it was. Okay, if we received it that early, why didn't we?
Well, the booking for the pavilion was early. The actual special events application, it didn't get signed. I don't think that got signed until just
That's what
recently.
it was, yeah.
Because there's two different things. There's a booking of the pavilion, and then there's the actual special events application.
Okay.
I'll make a motion that we approve special event application for the Lions Club.
Support.
Motion made by Chris, supported by Lee. Roll call.
Mr. Minigini?
Yes?
Dr. Hayes?
Yes.
Mr. Gottstein?
Yes.
Mr. Ball?
Yep.
Mr. Oja?
Yes. Approval, Norway Area Master Plan Distribution. Mr. Anderson.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Mayor. The Norway Area Planning Commission has been working for a number of months on updating the Norway Area Master Plan. It's 5 years into the plan, and every 5 years it's appropriate to take a review, even if you really don't make any significant changes. For this particular update, it's mainly census. You know, when we had originally created the master plan 5 years ago, it was prior to the 2010 census, so we had QPAD update all the census data for us in that plan. As far as the procedure, since we're with Norway Township in the Norway Area Planning, both legislative bodies need to just make a formal resolution through motion to submit the plan to all the local or area planning commissions for their opportunity to comment, as well as the public. So there's like a 63-day period before it goes to a public hearing. The planning commission, after the 63 days, will hold a public hearing, and then it'll come back for council and planning and the township for final approval.
And the township's already approved their distribution?
Yeah, the township at their last meeting approved to go out to distribution.
It says a copy of the plan will be available on the web at City Hall and at the public library. Is that the modified copy?
Yes, that's the updated copy. It's on the web right now. So,
Okay.
What's the official date of the meeting then?
we don't have it scheduled yet because it's a 63-day notice. So once the letters go out, so we send them directly to the county planning commission and all the area planning commissions. So once we have the distribution letter and a formal distribution made, then we'll schedule 63 days and then the public hearing.
It would most likely be their meeting in August.
Yeah, August, September, right around Labor Day. I'm sure it's going to be around that time.
Any other questions or comments? If not, I'm looking for a motion.
I'll make a motion that the city council approve to distribute and start the 63-day public comment period for the amended Norway Area Master Plan.
Support.
Motion made by Lee, supported by Dr. Hayes. Roll call.
Dr. Hayes?
Yes.
Mr. Gottstein?
Yes.
Mr. Ball?
Yeah.
Mr. Oja?
Yes.
Mr. Menigee?
Yes.
Resolution 2014-13, revised rate resolution revision 2. Mr. Anderson.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. At our last budget hearing, there was a direction from the council to have the PCAC on the electric rate adjusted to modify the floor and then put a ceiling. I do notice that in this, what I've handed out for revision 2, we did modify one of the PCACs, but not the second. So the city rate PCAC will have the same language as the township. It's going to be a 1 penny floor to go below the rate and a 2 penny ceiling to go above the rate. I do notice that as a mistake on this resolution. That will be updated prior to signing.
Is there any questions?
Ray, did you said the city will be the same as the
Yeah,
township?
it's the same.
The PCAC is the same in both.
PCAC.
That was a mistake on theirs, that we didn't get it modified on that sheet. It was intended to be the same as what the township sheet shows.
Oh, okay, because I asked Joe and Mary about this morning, and I noticed there were two different sheets.
We
Okay.
just didn't get that modified.
Okay, so across this section out here,
Yeah. It'll be the same as what the township one shows.
okay.
Make a motion, we pass resolution 2014-13 for revised rate resolution.
Second.
Motion made by Dr. Hayes, supported by Chris. Roll call.
Mr. Gottstein?
Yes.
Mr. Ball?
Yep.
Mr. Oja?
Yes.
Mr. Menigee?
Yes.
Dr. Hayes?
Yes.
And that's our business this evening. Anyone from the audience wish to come up and address the council? If you do, please come up to the podium, state your name and address for the record. You'll have 5 minutes.
Nancy Farley, 818 Section Street. I have some questions and I have a comment also.
Okay?
On the Strawberry Lake, what what they are doing right now. Was there a long-term plan when this Strawberry Lake complex was initially started? Did they say, like, the first year we're gonna do this, the next year we're gonna do that? Is anybody aware of a long-term plan that this was going to happen?
I don't think there was any long-term plans. Initially, when we put the walking trail around the lake, that was the main emphasis, to create the park. And I think this current project was started with the Recreation Committee to modify the park, hopefully to improve the park.
Okay. And was the work put out on bids
For the tree removal?
for, the tree removal and all that?
No, it wasn't. We went with the suggestion of our forester because we found a company that would, if in exchange for the wood, would clear the box elder and the scrub trees out of there for no charge to us.
So they chose to go with Nichols Logging then?
Kleiman.
Lyman? Okay. And when are they going to remove the piles of wood there? Because that is a hazard, and kids will climb on them, and it would be really detrimental to the city not, to have these piles of wood, and they've been there for well over 2 weeks.
That I don't know when Kleiman's plans were. Ray, have you heard anything from them?
I haven't heard. They were supposed to be taking those out, now. So we'll have to find out from them when they're going to finish that.
We'll contact them and find out when they're going to be removing them and encourage them to remove
You
them quickly.
understand that is a liability?
Yes, yeah. We will encourage them to remove it as quickly as possible, but we'll find out what their plan is.
Okay. And I oppose the devastation at Strawberry Lake. And when you first go into Strawberry Lake, you look and you wonder, what happened to all the trees? And why was it clear cut? It says, by removing all the trees, whether box elders or not, you have removed the shade along the walking trail. The walking trail around the lake is a wonderful natural attraction for all who visit the area. Many people from Iron Mountain, Kingsford, Niagara, Hermansville, and the surrounding areas use this walking trail because it's a safe environment. You see families pushing strollers and walking around the lake. You see children bringing their breadcrumbs or cracked corn to feed the geese and the ducks. Living on the end of Section Street, I can hear kids playing in the park. This park is used 7 days a week. You even cut the trees around the picnic tables at the park. It was nice to bring a lunch and sit with the children playing at the park. Now, who's going to want to sit there when the sun is beating down on you with no shade? The southwest corner of the lake was a nesting ground for loons and ducks that inhabit the lake. It was wonderful to sit on the benches and watch the mama and the papa ducks swimming and protecting their young. You could hear the loons and see their babies swimming with mom. By clear-cutting that area, you destroyed their nesting grounds. What plans do you have for that area now? Will we again see the ducks and the loons returning to this area? Who knows? The southeast corner of the walking trail had the most beautiful fragrant wildflowers in the spring. The area where the creek flows, you can see Mama Deer and her babies during the spring drinking water from the creek. This part of the trail was shaded by the box elder trees. You could sit on the bench and listen to the creek flowing and the sound of the birds and the insects. Such a peaceful, relaxing sounds. Now you plan on destroying this area by clear-cutting that. The northwest side of the lake, you could see people fishing surrounded by foliage abundant there. Kids liked that area to fish because they claimed that it was the best fishing spot on the lake. The bench was an ideal spot for the parents to sit and watch the kids fish. Why you were taken away from this beautiful fishing spot? On the north side of the lake, you would see and hear birds chirping and see their nests along that side of the lake. You could see the eagles fly from the west side to the east side of the lake and watch the geese coming in for a landing after their evening jaunt to the fields. Where can you find this in any other town in the UP? Several years ago, you planted flowering crab trees on the north side of the walking trail. The trail will never get any shade from these trees at all. Can you at least leave the box elder trees alone and not cut these down? Shade is what people want along a walking trail, not hot sun on the blacktop. I understand that you've had some positive comments on raping the land on Strawberry Lake. I have not heard from anyone yet who is in favor of this debacle. I understand that there was grant money for park improvements, and the money has to be spent on this project. I understand that the city will be planting trees in the park. How many years will it take for these trees to give us the shade that we already have with the box elder trees? The box elder trees are not a pretty tree, but it grows in a natural environment. The whole area is a natural area. Where else can you find a gem of an area in the UP? I said, you can spend the grant money on paving the road or road to the ball field, making the ball field more attractive by installing bleachers, a water fountain, bathrooms, etc. How about covered pavilion with picnic tables at the park? The money can be better spent by improvements to the current facilities rather than raping the walking trail of the Strawberry Lake. What is your plan? Anybody?
The grant money, well, thank you for your comment, but the grant money, there was no grant money spent on cutting the trees. The grant was for the park improvements. The cutting of the trees was part of that, but it was going to be as in-kind labor because we were looking at having the same arrangement at no cost to us to cut the other side of the lake. This particular side had nothing to do with the grant, with the park project or the grant project that we're looking at for next year.
So you're saying then that by cutting the trees and taking away the environment on this southwest side and from the road to the park, by clear cutting all those trees, that's part of the plan?
That was part of the plan that Parks and Rec had developed for the lake.
And do you have any idea what exactly they're planning on doing with that? Is it just to plant trees? Because trees don't mature.
The plan was to clean up the box elders that are starting to over-mature, they're starting to fall, they don't look good. They're also starting to become dangerous in that we are getting a lot of them breaking and falling. To clean them up and remove them. And then go back in, remove the stumps, and then replant trees. And we understand that they will not grow quickly, but the plan is to replant a diverse mix of trees that are better trees for the park, better trees just in general than the box elder.
And what about the nesting for the loons and the ducks and all that? You know, you destroyed that by clear cutting that. Isn't that important?
I can't comment on that. I don't know that. I don't know if what nestings were there. I don't have knowledge of that, so I really can't comment on that personally.
Well, you should walk around the lake. It's beautiful. It really is. It's a wonderful thing. And if you've never been there, I suggest you do it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. Does anyone else wish to address the council on any subject? If you do, please come up to the podium, state your name and address for the record. Okay, seeing none. Lee.
Oh, no comments.
Dr. Hayes.
When's the next recreation meeting? Is that the third?
It's been moved to the fourth week now. It's now
Fourth
the
week.
fourth Wednesday at 6:30.
Okay, when's the third?
That would be the 28th. Any other questions, comments?
No, I think that would be the place to discuss the future of the project, what's going on. Because
Yes.
I've heard a lot of negative comments about the, and I think it was well intended, and my own personal opinion is that we got half the lake cleared, let's not go on and start cutting the rest, because like you said, it is a natural area. I've seen nesting greenback herons in the woods on the west side of the lake, which need bigger trees to nest in. There's an old dump on that side of the lake, and if you start getting into that, and also our Superfund site, which is adjacent to that, I think we're looking for trouble myself. So I think we got to see how one side turns out before you even think about cutting the other side. Get the tree plantings in there and see how it looks, but I agree. And we also have to look at perhaps if we're tearing up the trail on the west side of the lake, that we think about putting in some lights.
Okay. Anything else?
No other comments?
George? Sure.
Chris first, and then I got a kind of lengthy stuff here. I wanna-
Okay.
I'll keep mine short then. I want to thank everybody that put together the rummage sales past weekend. It looks like it was a fairly decent turnout. Did we have any major issues with parking or?
No, it was actually a good year.
It looks like most of the signs were down. I think
Yeah.
riding around Sunday, I really didn't see much still up.
I noticed again today, driving by the Public Works site, the number of cardboard boxes in the dumpster again. Is it possible that we can get a different cover for that dumpster so people can't jam in those big boxes?
Well, the signs are finished,
Okay.
and I'm picking them up tomorrow. And they will be put up right in front of the dumpster. So,
I don't know if the
any
si-
issues?
I don't know if the signs are gonna really make that much of a difference, but
I
if
don't know.
people
If
can't.
nobody's around, they're gonna put it in there anyway, probably.
I mean, I think for the sake of, of what it's costing us to take care of this mess over there, we're getting to the point we're gonna have to put these things behind the gates and regulate the hours.
The only tops, Chris, I've ever seen were the plastic ones that flip over like or what on. I've never seen a different top for it, But the amount of cardboard grew substantially from this morning to the end of today. From when I saw it earlier this morning, there's a little bit in it, and now there's a lot running out on the ground and stuff.
Yeah, when I drove by later this morning, it was overflowing with boxes again, so. As much as I hate to say it, I think it's maybe time until we can get something in place to put it behind the fence. And so we stop spending the money to clean up other people's messes. That's just my opinion. That's all.
Okay, George.
I got quite a list here. Seeing I missed the last council meeting. Well, people bear with me a little bit. Joe, can you have a list of things that didn't, or could you get a list of things that didn't get done over the course of winter that we were planned to do? Per se, like the tree cutting that we had planned to do and that we never got to. I know there was another route that we were gonna go look at having another company do it. And then also a list, if you could put together a list of things that have to be done for this coming summer.
Okay.
And I know I've been after, for the past 4 or 5 years, I've been after to get these boulevards, tried to get them cut down on US 2.
Yeah.
Also, I think it would be worth to even look at US 8. I noticed going down there that the boulevards are a lot narrower, but they're not quite as high. But as long as we're involved in a project, I think it would be a wise idea to get them both done. If we can get the clearance from the state. All the questions and the talk that's going around town and the potholes and everything, that that are throughout the whole community. I think the public would like to know, how many people are we gonna hire this summer to fix these? You know, if you take a look around, I'm sure, Joe, you spend a lot of time, but I don't know how much Ray spends out of the office, but I think it'd be wise for Mr. Anderson to go with you or go with the police department and just ride these streets to just get
I drive the streets, George. I get out.
a full knowledge of
Yeah,
how
I
many
know
holes
what's,
there are.
I know what's going on.
Well, my point, Ray, is if, on the back of these packs here, of the comments that come in from people, and one of them really caught my eye. It was on Mr. Heinz's driveway. 3 potholes down. There's from X number of Mr. Heinz's driveway, there's a huge pothole. Now, when you gotta start describing stuff by potholes, I think we got a big problem.
We do have a problem, George, and like we talked about at the last budget hearing, and I've been totally honest, it's not an affordability issue. I mean, if you want us to add people to the payroll, we can do it, but our current rate structure doesn't support it.
Well-
And because we had such a rough winter, we're behind. There's no question we're behind. But do you staff your department completely based on a bad winter, or do we have an overall plan moving forward, which then you're going to need to adjust your rate structure to handle the extra personnel? And we talked about that in the office, and we talked about
How
that in the
many-
DPW. We're not against adding people to do work. We would love to do all this work.
How many people can we work for how many weeks before we have to start paying unemployment rate? How many, working 40 hours a week, how many people, how long do you have to work before you can draw unemployment?
I'm not sure what the weeks are, George. I know when we've talked to them, they do it by quarters. I mean, if you hired somebody to work for the summer, they're gonna be entitled to unemployment, but it's not gonna be much. They go back and they base it on their quarterly earnings. We'd have to look and see if there's a limit, if there's a point where they say, okay, if they only work this many weeks, they can't draw it all. We'd have to look into that. But I know when they go back, they look at how much they've made in the last, I think it's 5 quarters, isn't it, Trish?
But I've already talked to Joe about moving forward with part-time like we did last summer. Not just our summer employment, like with our students, because this involves, additional types of people. But, I think what I was understanding is you were looking for full-time, and that's where we struggle with that. But I've already talked to Joe about you can go right now and start looking for seasonal part-time outside of just the standard students.
Basically, I am ready for the Mary over here and the street department to put additional people on. But I mean, by putting additional people on, we are now no way going to fix all these potholes that we got in town, just with 2 extra people. My point is, we got to get more people on hand, and whatever, if we have to put 20 people on to get these potholes fixed, so we can get back to where we are, or supposed to be, I should say. That is my point. I mean, let's put more people on, but work them to a point until they're unemployment, and then lay them off.
Well, I've never told them not to go out and look at that option.
That is my point by
Right.
surveying the situation of how many holes we got to fill here and how many people are you gonna do it. Are you gonna hire 2 people to do nothing but fill holes? You got grass to cut, you got all these other jobs that are on the list that have to be done every summer. I mean, we're certainly not gonna do all this work, Ray, with hiring 2 extra people in the department.
I'm not using a number. I mean, that's
No,
what
but I mean,
they come to me and
regardless.
give their requests. And
We're just
Yeah.
not, no way gonna do it. So my point, we have to look at the situation and put the people on it to get the jobs done. I don't see any other answer unless you wanna constantly face the public every day, look at the mess you got.
George, you're mirroring my message. You're mirroring my message to what we need to do.
I talked with Dave Ball this morning, and we ran across the subject. The park, evidently the toilets out in the baseball park got open. Evidently there's a key floating around someplace that somebody isn't supposed to have. Anyhow, I don't know if the women's toilet or the women's and men both were open.
It was the women's.
Okay, well, the report that I got, there was so much crap in them toilets that it stuck above the lids on them. I mean, they were just plugged terrible.
Yeah, the water was turned off and they were using them.
Right, Joe. I think what we're gonna have to do, to me, there's nothing more filthier than to go in to use the public toilet and you see something like this. We're gonna have to monitor these things a little bit better so that when they're locked, and how many keys do we have, and how many people are entitled to open them, things or not. And if our people can't do them, like now, if the high school, them teams are using them and they wanna use them facilities out there, I don't know if it's our responsibility, Ray, or not to keep them clean. But if it isn't, then the coaches or the school, they should pitch in and to clean these things up. I mean, to me, all we're doing is giving us, they're using them and giving us a bad name because of the filth that's out there. And you see stuff like that, and it doesn't leave your mind very fast or very often, I'll tell you.
Which bathroom was this?
Women's.
Where? Which
In
park?
Marion Park.
Marion Park.
Okay. I mean, I haven't even heard.
No, I
It's the
didn't
first
tell
time
you,
heard
I didn't
about
tell you about it because didn't think it was really newsworthy. Because they're cleaned up now. And
Yeah.
I
No,
didn't think much of it, so.
David told me about it this morning, and he was the one that told me that there's a key, somebody's got a key out there someplace that opened it up, and he don't know who or why or where. But, my point, Ray, is, as long as the things are open, we gotta monitor them and I know, get them clean whenever possible. Do we have anybody on staff, Joe, to clean them now?
Right at the moment, no, we don't. There is nobody on
As
staff.
far as I know,
cleaning
they
right
weren't
now.
supposed to be open because the water's not running.
No, they weren't supposed to be open. The one got opened. We don't know how it got opened. Who would have opened it? We have no idea.
That's why I didn't have it.
I knew the situation before I found
So,
out today.
yeah.
I mean,
They went out there to
by
turn the
talking
water
to
on.
David.
They went out there to turn the water on. They found it a mess. They cleaned it up, locked it back up. So,
Now, there's, you said the water isn't on out there yet, Joe?
it is right now, yes.
Okay.
But they're not being opened right now.
Okay, because there was tournaments out there all weekend again.
Okay.
If there,
It's our responsibility. There are restrooms,
there
George.
should be better communication, Joe. I mean, I'm not blaming anybody. If them things are out there and the high school teams are using them, they most likely should be in service, but somebody should be responsible for it. I mean, you go out there to play, there had to be 6 teams out there playing over the weekend because they had double eliminations and they played all day Saturday and Sunday. So they had to be, for sure, 6 teams. And people expect to have, I'm sure they would expect to have these facilities open. Okay. That's what it's, any report yet, Ray, on that alley behind the Legion or on any decision on what they were going to do?
Well, there's no decision yet, George. As you know, when we were down there Friday, they were, Coleman Engineering and Scott Moran Excavating, they were going to analyze it, I guess, and get back to me.
Yeah.
And I didn't hear today. I anticipate over the next day or two,
Okay.
I'll be in touch with Jeff.
I thought he mentioned that he was going to try to get a report for tonight's meeting. I just assumed that he would. The sidewalk in front of the Senior Citizens Center, I don't know if anybody, Leah had mentioned it to you, I don't know if anybody had walked along there, particularly from the corner down to the Rialto, the bowling alley. That cement is where we took the bricks out and poured the red cement in. That cement is just deteriorating, it's flaking right up and just,
I've noticed that too.
yeah, that looks terrible. I don't, that's been in there maybe 3 years, maybe 4 years for, you know, I don't know if there's anybody who can go back on that, who did that or not. That's the only part that I walk, so I don't know if there's other spots that the cement is deteriorating that bad or not. I don't know. Let's see. Okay, Ray, you had mentioned at our last budget meeting, it's something I think that the council possibly should think about, and the council especially. Ray had mentioned on our internet that you had thought of trying to get more people along the highway and along Main Street to be involved. I personally, I think, I agree with you, but I think this city's biggest downfall in everything that we do, we don't have the people on staff to go out and sell what we're trying to promote in the city. Lee, you had made talked about this fella that's building up in Felch, the statement that he made, the people in Norway don't realize what they're getting for their money. And I agree with you 100%. Our biggest, we offer so much here, but we don't have anybody to go out and sell it to the public. And the same thing with this internet that you're talking about, that people had already signed up, and now it's going to be 2 years before their contract is due. So we can't really bring it around and offer it until then. Even though, when we do offer it, are we going to have the people to go out and sell it to make it worthwhile to invest in? You know, to do all these things and not do a good job of them or with them, are we doing ourselves or anybody else justice? Because, you know, that's my point. We've got so much here, and we can't get it out for the public to see what we got. I've got a couple other things, but I think we can let some of this go. That's all, Jeremy.
Okay, thank you. I have nothing to add this evening. We're not going to, Joe, anything you'd like to update us on?
No further comments.
Mary? Tricia? Jay?
No, thank you, Mary, no, nothing.
One other thing. Ray and you and Lee are going up to the county on
Wednesday night.
Ray, unless they make some drastic changes, I ain't for it at all. I don't know, but some of the council didn't seem too much in favor of going along with what they're offering us here. I agree 100%. We don't get no benefits from next to nothing as far as I can see.
Ray, anything?
Well, I'd like to take an opportunity, as I mentioned in the memo over the weekend, Troy Lewis is here. He's, we have an opportunity for, to participate in an internship program at Northern Michigan University. So I asked Troy to come in tonight. He started today. This is a grant through both the university and through the Michigan Managers Association that allows Mr. Lewis to be here for a 12-week period. And so he's going to be working with me and with Joe, learning city management and city utilities, and he's going to help us out quite a bit, especially with some projects and some of the things, George, you brought up about getting some information. He's going to help us out.
Can he help on potholes, Ray?
No, I don't want him to put on the gloves, that's not what his responsibility is, but I think it's a great opportunity. I don't know if you want to say hi to the community, Troy, but he's going to be here.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to this opportunity to work with you all and learn everything I can about city management, and, you know, if I can help get the pothole situation addressed, or help on the PR side of things, I'm looking forward to it.
Well, I'd like to welcome you and hope you have an enlightening experience here with the city for your summer internship.
And then as far as the citywide rummage sale, great report this morning. I think from what I hear, it was a very good weekend, so I thank everybody. Thank everybody who participated, and also people that came to town. So we appreciate it.
Yeah.
Jeremy, I got one other issue. Ray, in your comments back to the council on this opting in or opting out on that dollar fee,
Yeah.
Mary, is there any way that you could come up with a figure, say in the past previous years, how much has the city basically got stung by people moving out of town or not paying their bill? Is there any way that that figure could be found or gotten?
I can come up with a ballpark figure.
Okay, and the reason why I'm asking, I'm sure Ray and the rest of the council was well aware here, maybe 6-9 months ago, this fellow from Norway come in and was irate about paying this extra dollar on this bill. I think everybody can recall that. To me, I think if we find out how much basically the city's ever been stung on people not paying their bills by moving out of town early and stuff like this, against the fact of how much are we collecting and sending to the state, I think that the council would have a better balance or a better idea of, is this worth collecting this dollar per customer and sending it to the state against just taking a gamble and say, well, geez, you know, we don't lose that much to begin with.
But the potential, when we looked at it initially, the potential loss on one person was thousands of dollars. Just on one person. So, doing that in the winter, knowing that we can't shut them off. I'm just letting you, when we first discussed it last year, that was part of the discussion. And I don't know if we ever talked about how much we had, but the potential that one person could cost us thousands of dollars for the winter. That was why we opted to
No,
go with it.
I find Jeremy.
I'm just letting you know where our discussion
Great,
is.
I never really,
We're going to have an extended discussion about this. That's one of the reasons I put it in on this packet is because, you know, by June 23rd, we had to get a hold of the MMEA, Jim Weeks, and because they were going to file for us. And we want this discussion, you know, we want to go through and decide, is this the right plan for us or not? We've been working on a utility billing committee, trying to, you know, work on some of the shut-off rules in general.
that
You know,
was
and-
my point, Ray.
right.
You know, how much is, but I'm glad you brought it up, Jeremy. Yes, there is potential that we can lose lots. I never
Yeah.
looked that far down the line. I'm just wondering, you know, how much of a gamble are we really taking here? And how much are we collecting compared
One of the
and
things too.
sending $1 a month per customer? That's,
Well, one of the bits of information that I'll have for you guys too is, you know, there were a number of communities that opted out last year.
right.
You know, Crystal Falls, Gladstone, there were a number of them. And they're thinking of opting back in.
Okay.
You know, so, yeah, that's good information, is you opted out last year, and if you saw your uncollectibles take a spike, then they're
We'll
looking
get
at
that
coming back.
information.
That's fine. That's great.
As I recall from the discussion with Crystal Falls was they opted out and just hoped they didn't get challenged on it. It was kind of a, they didn't have a plan to deal with it, but it was more of a, let's hope not.
Okay,
Okay.
okay, thank you.
We have no closed session this evening, so I'm looking for a motion to adjourn.
Make a motion, we adjourn.
Support?
Motion made by Chris, supported by George. Roll call.
Mr. Oja?
Yes.
Mr. Menegini?
Yes.
Dr. Hayes?
Yes.
Mr. Gotstein?
Yes.
Mr. Ball?
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.
Basically opting in, about half opted in, half opted out.
Yeah,